taken in Jeffrey Epstein's Manhattan townhouse. It seems to show a doctor performing a medical procedure on Mr. Epstein's dining room table. We looked through about 15,000 records from the Epstein files to understand how Jeffrey Epstein cultivated and rewarded a small circle of doctors as a means of control over the women in his orbit. Mr. Epstein dictated when these women got plastic surgery, even when they went to the gynecologist. And he could also take medical care away. In some cases, you also see the doctors help Jeffrey Epstein maintain that control over these women's lives. Here's one really striking example. Jeffrey Epstein is flying back from his island in the Virgin Islands to New York with a young woman who has suffered a really serious injury. He reaches out to somebody named Eva Dubin, a former girlfriend of his, and the founder of the Dubin Breast Center at Mount Sinai. And he says, this woman fell off the ATV and needs stitches in her forehead. Can you organize? She responds, okay, Jess Ting, a plastic surgeon at Mount Sinai, is standing by. Call me as soon as you land. And then you see the next day from Jeffrey Epstein, Dr. Ting put 35 stitches in her head, laid out on the dining room table. And that brings us back to this photo, which appears to be of Dr. Ting. Dr. Ting declined comment on this photo. When we talked to medical experts, they said, there's no way you do this if you were putting the patient's needs first. If you were doing that, you just take her to the hospital. There's much more equipment, there's many more people, the risk of infection is lower. The only reason you do this is if you were putting somebody else's needs first.
One of the country's most prominent physicians is in the Epstein files, and the emails look pretty damning. Dr. Peter Attia is a longevity doctor who is a New York Times bestselling author and the host of a popular podcast. Here's an alleged email from Dr. Peter Attia to Leslie Groff, who was one of Epstein's assistants. And it says, no, thank you so much. See you next time. Hopefully JE in town when I'm back in 2 weeks. I go into JE withdrawal when I don't see him. And this email apparently between Dr. Attia and Jeffrey Epstein with the subject, got a fresh shipment. You the biggest problem with becoming friends with you? The life you lead is so outrageous and yet I can't tell a soul. To which Jeffrey E. replies, "Afraid not." And there's another email with language that I don't want to share with you here today that is just not good. One person is reporting that there are 175 pages of documents with Dr. Attia in the Epstein files. Now, I don't know Dr. Attia, I've never met him, but I did not have this on my 2026.
The investigation into Jeffrey Epstein reveals disturbing claims of control, including alleged medical procedures in private settings and influence over women's healthcare. Records suggest a network of connections involving figures like Eva Dubin and Chris Tucker, raising serious questions about power, ethics, and accountability.